Back in the controversial one Ghana city increase in fuel levies, calling it a painful but essential measure to rescue the country's troubled energy sector. And so on that, former Vice President and the 2024 presidential candidates for the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, slams the NDC government over the introduction of the new one city energy sector levy. We'll tell you more in this bulletin. And in our Tidy J segment for today, we will be looking at the 2025 World Environment Day, which focuses on dealing with plastic waste. The details of these and many more coming up in the next few minutes. Please stay with us. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. We are live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana and also on DSTV channel 277. We'll begin from the energy sector, and Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama is backing the controversial one Ghana city increase in fuel levies, calling it a painful but essential measure to rescue the country's troubled energy sector. Addressing the final session of the National Economic Dialogue, the President assured Ghanaians that the funds will be ring-fenced to clear sector debt and prevent power shortages.
By this increased levy will be channeled to pay down accumulated legacy debts in the power sector. With the recent gains in macro stability and strengthening of the Ghanaian cedi, this levy is not expected to result in any immediate fuel price increases at the pump. We are fully aware of the burden this will place on households and businesses, but I want to assure Ghanaians that this decision was not taken lightly. Furthermore, the government will continue working to reduce systemic inefficiencies in the energy procurement and distribution sectors, while enhancing targeted social interventions for vulnerable groups. Reforming the tax system for growth and fairness. Another central recommendation of the dialogue was to reform Ghana's overcomplicated distortionary tax regime, which has become both a disincentive to investment and a burden on the ordinary citizen. Accordingly, the government has moved to repeal 4 punitive and counterproductive taxes within the first 90 days of this administration: the electronic transfer levy, which was known as the e-levy tax, the emissions levy, and the betting tax. Additionally, we're undertaking a comprehensive rationalization of the VAT regime to remove cascading effects and restore predictability and fairness in VAT taxes. After stakeholder consultation and parliamentary review, these changes will take effect from September 2025. Our goal is to have a leaner, simpler, pro-business tax framework that supports growth and compliance. Reviving the productive economy. The dialogue reaffirmed that no nation has ever taxed or borrowed its way to prosperity. Therefore, we must refocus national development around production, exports, and value addition. To this end, we're rolling out our flagship 24-hour economy program, targeting agro-processing, logistics, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and public safety sectors. Firms operating in second or third shifts will benefit from fiscal incentives, utility discounts, and labor support schemes.
The quarters of the opposition party, the NPP, the former vice president and presidential candidates for the party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has actually condemned the ruling NDC government for introducing the one Ghana city energy sector levy after scrapping the betting tax, e-levy, and the emission levy. According to Dr. Bawumia, the NDC government, while in opposition, campaigned heavily criticizing the previous government for the numerous taxes it had imposed on Ghanaians.
Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was rounding up his nationwide thank you tour in the Central Region, climaxing the expression of his appreciation to the party people for their role in the 2024 elections and also the people in the region for their votes. Speaking at a gathering in Cape Coast, Dr. Bawumia said that the new Dumsor levy is 8 times the amount that was charged on the e-levy. He accused the NDC of campaigning on deception to win political power and doing the exact opposite of what they promised. Dr. Bawumia maintained that the NDC has just thrown dust into the eyes of Ghanaians, urging them to brace themselves for more draconian taxes from the NDC government.
NDC for Omuchan Trobebre every day. Opie Entra Omucha. And Ranajo, somebody in Amo. Omo di Dumsor levy aba. Dumsor levy. Dumsor levy. So first, omo se e-levy. Na yedi aba. Omo be e-levy, no omo be ye. And then omo di Dumsor levy aba. It is 8 times the e-levy.
Now, earlier on Good Morning Ghana, Member of Parliament for Segnarigu has appealed to Ghanaians to bear with the government on the energy sector levy, saying they do not want to return to the Dumsor era. Hence, the levy will help in keeping the lights on. However, Member of Parliament for Kwadaso Kingsley Nyanko says government lied to Ghanaians and are using deceptive ways to introduce taxes. He added that the NDC is using their majority position in Parliament to cover their incompetence.
We had 3 options. That's what I want every Ghanaian listening to me should understand. We had 3 options. One was to pretend that nothing is wrong and plunge the country into darkness. The NPP always argues that they kept the light on. You kept the light on, yet every state-owned institution in the value chain of electricity generation were riddled with debt. In fact, it will take us 6 years to clear the total debt of ECG. So the options was that one was to pretend that we don't want to do anything about it, let the country plunge into the energy crisis. And you know the impact of energy crisis, this Dumsor, you know the impact on industrial performance and even household, the discomfort. Then the second one was that we either increase utility tariffs. Bear in mind that the NPP signed an IMF program that had in it a quarterly tariff adjustment. Whether you knew you want it or you don't want it, you must do it in order to pay the legacy debt. So they also brought an executive, in fact, it was a cabinet memo.
But with this quarterly adjustment thing, I want to get some clarity on this.
All right.
Haven't we always had a quarterly adjustment of prices? I mean, did we need IMF?
No, we needed.
Why?
Because it is a government, the one we had before was a deregulated system.
Yes.
But what the IMF is doing is that you are owing IPPs 3.7 billion. For you to ensure debt sustainability, you must be able to pay off these debts.
Yes, I get
so
that.
they wanted a dedicated source of revenue that can be ring-fenced to solve that problem.
Okay.
And if without it, the government was not mandated. If you remember, there were several times the finance ministry and PRC always fight over tariffs increase.
When we met Gridco,
Yes.
Gridco told us that the fuel we need between May and December of this year to be able to sustain our energy sector is $971 million.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
But that was pegged at 15 cedis to the dollar.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm saying that if the dollar is doing, let's say, even 11, for the rest of the year, you have some margin there.
Yeah.
You have some space there.
Yes.
And that space will be to our advantage.
Oh, okay. I get it.
That's it.
I get it.
So the haste in bringing in this levy is that the NDC is using their numbers in parliament to hide their incompetence. Because now Ghanaians, whatever they want, they will do. And this is not the only levy that they brought. They're going to bring more. They are going to bring more levy. And burden us. But if you are telling me that you need this money to address issues in the sector, recently, didn't they increase electricity prices by 14.75%? So what was the justification?
Meanwhile, some drivers and passengers have been reacting to the newly introduced levy on fuel products by the Mama government.
And this abandon on power, the Omba because Mubaya no and Chebia format move. Momo say ye 11 yet. Bed tax and yet. But the said a moon's mother 1 tax of 11 and a friend about 1 city petrol 11 Tuaka.
So media crime is where they answer Adada be now more dada. 11 dear. Baby, I never know Monfango Siwa, no Munja Petro, no Mode Bow, and the Quasico was a jam 20 hour.
Obitam $58 million could see Kutuam now National Cathedral. No BG 1 city. Now they are man light edge in Aswa. Yaomo. I remember the Albanian or Mom Beggar say, and no Mom Beggar saying,
no one is complaining apart from the MPP people. Nobody. And looking at things, there is 1 city. So then let's go back to Akufo-Addo regime. It's more than 1 cities, but so that's where we were complaining. This one is 1 cities, and 1 cities is for our own good, and is the same development for the country. If only we want to be like, for example, some people always compare Ghana, like they want to compare Ghana to the US and then the Americans. Yes, they don't develop by what? Just by chance.
Yes, ABC where that say it me at this so near to Lolife so yet this so Lolife Bejina, I can say to Swanere, and so yet to Yatisu. And this ano say on my shade on Modebano. Ye person man and Conesana at the time for no more room. Young form type for mom and NTC room. Now, most of Monte, Masonia,
And those were some interesting reactions from Ghanaians. Away from that, the chairman of the Ghana National Economic Dialogue Planning Committee is optimistic that the committee's recommendations will help reset the country's economy. Dr. Aisha Yamson, while presenting the final report to President Mahama at the Jubilee House, said the proposals already show early signs of success in the 2025 budget.
Excellency, as it was pointed out in the briefing paper to the committee, countries that have successfully overcome the middle income trap show the importance of a permanent consultative process in which the authorities, the private sector, civil society, and international partners regularly discuss socio-economic and growth challenges, emerging opportunities and risks, and review salient experiences and policy actions in other countries. This provides timely inputs and feedback to decision makers on implementing strategy and amendments to policies and institutional framework to successfully meet the government's vision. Success will eventually be measured by the government's ability to provide concrete solutions to challenges facing citizens and regaining policy credibility and trust. We wish, therefore, to respectfully request for your consideration that the National Economic Dialogue should be constitutionalized into a permanent consultative.
Now, President Mahama in his response has pledged swift and transparent implementation of the National Economic Dialogue's recommendation and receiving the committee's final report at the Jubilee House. The President described the document as a covenant between government and citizens, promising reforms grounded in urgency, discipline, and openness.
The Public Financial Management Act to introduce a binding debt ceiling aimed at Ghana's debt to GDP ratio aimed at reducing Ghana's debt to GDP ratio to no more than 45% by 2028. To support this, we are establishing an independent fiscal council by the third quarter of this year to provide professional, non-partisan oversight of the national budget and borrowing framework. This body will publish regular assessments to keep the government accountable to the people. The second is energy sector sustainability. The dialogue recognizes growing energy sector liabilities as the greatest existential threat to fiscal consolidation and macroeconomic stability. Our energy sector carries a debt burden of over $3.1 billion US, with an estimated $1.8 billion US more required to finance fuel procurements for uninterrupted thermal power generation in the coming months. If left unaddressed, this situation significantly threatens national productivity and industrial growth. While we have devised a strategy to liquidate this debt and staunch the bleeding in the power sector, we must take advantage of recent gains created by appreciation in the value of our currency to accelerate the solution to our energy sector.
Now, away from that, the Ghana Standards Authority has disclosed that some mattress manufacturers are using unauthorized materials, specifically polystyrene, instead of polyurethane to make their products. According to the Ghana Standards Authority, this can jeopardize health and safety of consumers.
The use of unauthorized materials pose significant health risks and potential harm to consumers, according to scientists at the Ghana Standards Authority testing facilities. Polystyrene, the recently discovered unauthorized material being used in the production of mattresses in the country, releases volatile organic compounds that can cause respiratory issues and skin irritation. The scientists have also revealed that the use of polystyrene also contributes to the microplastic pollution, negatively impacting human life, wildlife, and the environment. It's also highly flammable, which poses a fire risk. In case of a fire, it can release toxic fumes that are harmful when inhaled. The GSA says it will continue to monitor compliance among manufacturers across the country to safeguard public health and safety, adding that manufacturers found violating the standards would face sanctions. The GSA is also urging consumers to prioritize their well-being by choosing certified products.
Now to the Upper East region, and the paramount chief of the Moshi community in Ghana, Naba Wogbo II, has commended President John Dramani Mahama for demonstrating strong commitment to restoring lasting peace in Boko through a traditional mediation initiative led by the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II. Naba Wogbo II highlighted that the Moshi community remains deeply concerned about the Boko conflict, noting that both feuding factions, the Mampusi and the Kusasi, are considered traditional ancestors of the Moshi people. He urged both groups involved to embrace cultural diversity.
The commendation was made during the second general meeting of the Ghana Mushi traditional area, held to assess progress in establishing a traditional village and palace known as Zindia in Nalirigu in the northeast region. The creation of the Mushi paramountcy was officially sanctioned by the Nairi Nabohagu Mahami Abdullahi Shiriga in November 2023, when he installed Naba Wogbo II as the first paramount chief of the Mushi in Ghana and donated substantial hectares of land in Nalirigu for settlement. Historical accounts trace the roots of the Mushi people to a warrior named Atalmiru, who migrated from Gambaga in present-day northeast region to Ziko in what was then Upper Volta, now Burkina Faso. Speaking on behalf of Naba Wogbo II at the meeting, Chief Yusuf Ahaji Adam Tim Tori debunked misconceptions that Moshi people are not Ghanaians. He emphasized the importance of tracing one's roots in order to understand their identity and contribute meaningfully to peace and development.
Ghana has Musifo Yaho, and so no, Omasino, every Ghana ha, Omasin, every Gambaga, and a Omokoji Bukina, Bukina, Musifo crew, Bukina Omokoji crew. You say, be anti Musini Bia or Ghana Bia, and a Mornibiano, one sorringina, number bois, said a bear assassino, a betun pomna, Adani crew, Kessie, I, and for so Amma Musini Bia or Ghana Bia.
The Moshi chief of Gumwa Nyanyano, Alhaji Seidu Kabori, reiterated that understanding one's history is key to fostering cultural appreciation and unity. He called on the Mampusi and Kusasi to lay down their arms and unite as descendants of a shared heritage.
We are pleading with our leaders, our President John Mahama, to come to Boku and help us. We need help in Boku. We need peace in Boku. All the tribal chief in Boku, we need peace.
Such unity, he emphasized, would strengthen their bonds and promote peace, cultural harmony, and sustainable development in the region.
Now, Ghana's year-on-year inflation rate fell significantly to 18.4% in May 2025, marking a continued slowdown from the 21.2% in April, extending the country's disinflation trend for a fifth consecutive month. The Ghana Statistical Service attributed the sharp decline to lower transport fares, a direct result of the falling fuel prices and easing pressures in the non-food inflation basket. Headline inflation declined to 18.4% in May 2025, down from 21.2% in April and 23.1% in May 2024, making the lowest rate since February 2022. The fifth straight year-on-year decline in inflation, the Statistical Service maintains a clear signal that price stability is returning to the economy. Again, monthly inflation stood at 0.7%, slightly down from 0.8% in April, indicating a short-term price stability. The Ghana Statistical Service attributed the sharp decline to lower transport fares, a direct result of falling fuel prices and easing pressures in the non-food inflation basket.
The year-on-year inflation for May 2025 stood at 18.4%. And this 18.4% shows a decline by 2.8 percentage points from April 2025 inflation of 21.2%. And a 4.7 percentage point drop over the 12-month period from May 2024 inflation of 23.1%, signaling notable easing of inflationary pressures. This suggests that price increases are slowing down compared to last year, an encouraging development for households' budgets and economic stability.
The government statistician, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu, noted that the current slowdown in inflation can be linked to a combination of tighter monetary and fiscal measures, relative exchange rate stability, and improved external price conditions.
The inflation trend we are witnessing shows sustained deceleration. This trend underscores the effectiveness of recent monetary and fiscal measures, the recent appreciation of the cedi against the major international currencies, favorable external price dynamics, and positive market sentiments. The disinflation process is expected to continue in the coming months to fully reflect the impact of favorable economic factors, including the appreciation of the cedi. On regional inflation, for the month of May 2025, the Bronx-Ahafo region saw the largest decline in inflation. In fact, 4.1 percentage points decline from the 18.6% inflation recorded in April 2025 to 14.5% in May 2025.
The country is gradually recovering from economic challenges stemming from currency volatility, global commodity price shocks, and disruptions in key export sectors, including cocoa and gold. While still on the economy, the chairman for the National Economic Dialogue Planning Committee says the city's sharp recovery is proof of Ghana's economic progress. Dr. Ishmael Yamson, presenting the committee's final report to President Mahmoud, said the rebound shows the government's reset agenda is working, but stressed the need for sustained reforms to lock in long-term sustainability.
We are confident, Your Excellency, that you will find the recommendation useful as you lead the Resetting Ghana agenda. We also believe that you will find the recommendations appropriate for the current times of extreme global disruptions and uncertainties, where resilience means self-reliance. We are excited to know that even before we have the opportunity to present the final report to you, some of the key recommendations which were fed into the 2025 budget are already being implemented with spectacular results. The recent rapid recovery of the value of the cedi against major currencies has astounded many people who doubted the government's resolve to reset Ghana and its economy. Naturally, the question being asked is whether this is just a blip, and it is a legitimate question, because our history is replete with many broken promises. However, Your Excellency, we believe that the progress being made now is sustainable, and Ghana can create a macroeconomic environment which is stable and a country which is attractive to investors, both local and foreign, over the medium to long term. What is required is to ensure that the current drive to reverse some of the fundamental variables that create the macroeconomic instability is sustained. Additionally, the recommendations in this report, which relate to other structural reforms, particularly in the energy and cocoa sectors, if executed expeditiously and with passion, should successfully create a stable and prosperous Ghana, different from what we have ever seen in the past.
And in our Tiny J segment for today, the World Environment Day 2025 is themed the Beat Plastic Pollution, and it presents an opportunity for dredge masters to drive environmental consciousness, especially with communities surrounding the Kole Lagoon and Odo River, where plastic waste significantly affects water quality and public health. And in our subsequent bulletins, we'll be talking to the dredge masters to tell us more about what they'll be doing for this particular day. And that's all for the bulletin this afternoon. Many thanks for watching. I am Desmond Okrekudanso. We're back after this break with Emmanuel Kwesiefri bringing to us the business edge. Please stay with us.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
Poverty makes you do what you otherwise would not do. Wealth makes you live the way you wish to live. But revenge cancels the lines between poverty and riches.
It's either you're saying something progressive, or I'll just tell your wife that I'm carrying your child.
Where is my father? Now that he's coming closer to the community, my
papi go forget your own plans, so I go forget my own.
Back in the day, you tune in radio from morning, and you don't want to miss out because anybody who comes on is massive.
You know what I mean? At the time, no one really was coming out to say I'm doing it because you were there. And to be honest with you, you were one of the people that intimidated me. You and a guy called Devastator.
Back in the day, mentioning the place that you used to live, no, that meant that you were Dadaba.
Oh, how?
Because we are the ones who went to Saito.
I wasn't really a nightclub person.
No, I mean,
the only times I went to the nightclub, Yoko Dixon took me.
Yeah.
You have a Walkman by your side. Now that was your selector. The Walkman was your selector. So when you play the first song and you want to change the song, you have to start cueing your next song through your headphone.
Hi, my name is Ivan Pashigan. I'm the CEO of Farmhouse Productions. I'm a film director, producer. You are watching Back in the Days with Sammy B on Metro TV.
Massa, we a guy and yes, I'm be a feature. This is Back in the Day. Keep watching.
Fifra ye free nyina ye de obedientia. De ya fuji ani aduane. Sansro pintin bi aseda o me. De ye di koye mu ne de awie nyina na makuafo modem so. Won fifre so ne nya bidio. Nanso bate aseman ga na mu a. Akuafo akoya abo pupo obo wasio na so da su kache. Won san fifre ma mu nyina nya bidie. Nanso mpuntudwo mu aka akiri pa. Ekwan ben ne ebefa so ama akuafo fifre ho abanfa so de. Aban hyehye ne dwumadi ahodo ode bre akuafo no bo wote ase. Feed Ghana ye den. Na nkokọ ketenkete so mfa so ma akuafo so ye den. Weinti na hyehye dwumadi esunkwa ya to ne akuafo mo. Ye de bre original TV and Metro TV so. Dwumadi bebo akwanya ama mpanyimfo anim de ewa ba fukaye mu akire wadwen. Ye je akuafo ha no amane akoji mu aye e de free aban mu mpanyimfo ho. Enimi ni ehia akuafo nyonko samo wonto eda joada enwumre nonso kosi ne nonwotwe e original TV so. Saanso na da yawada enwumre nonwotwe kosi nonkono e Metro TV so. Akuafo mo Ghana akuafo abomode na yempene wo.
Ekuafumo is sponsored by ACAP Compost. ACAP Compost comes in 3 varieties. ACAP Compost, ACAP Compost X, ACAP Compost Plus.
Metro TV presents a new dating reality show.
Tell me, what's the favorite part of my body, and can you describe it with a word?
Table of Love.
Do you have what it takes to make it to the table of love?
My first heartbreak. Let me tell you. So I went somewhere to sit, and I met goats chewing grass. I sat right in front of the goat, and I asked it, have you ever felt heartbroken before?
Touching, romancing. You take me there, I take you there.
If you expect me
to be an angel in your life, you must first create heaven for me. Angels don't live in hell.
Many girls will say touching when you kiss me on the forehead, please. For me, when money touches my palm, I become so wet.
Damn!
Watch out for Cook Africa Season 2 coming to the Metro TV with Ahiniwa. This time around, we are coming with some surprises, prizes, and of course, it's Ghana Month. So watch out for some local delicacies on Cook Africa with your favorite Ahiniwa.
Right, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. It's right here on Business Edge, and just gone by is a new segment of Good Afternoon Ghana. Now we are fully loaded onto Business Edge for the afternoon, and of course, when we come on, you know that it's a plethora of issues within the business sector of the economy, whether it's political economy or financial or however you want to put it. So far as it has something to do with business, you would get it right here on Business Edge on Metro TV. This afternoon promises to be exciting because there are a number of issues happening and things that we need to talk about. First of all is the 1 cedi tax increment per litre put forward by the Minister for Energy and Power, Honorable John Jinapor, which is currently being debated in Parliament and, of course, in the public space. We'll be asking you what you think about it, and if time permits us, we'll give you the opportunity to share your concern, your views, your questions via phone call, and of course we'll put up a WhatsApp line as well for you to be able to share your concern as well. Are you ready to pay that 1 cedi tax? It's actually in place anyway, and its impact and so on and so forth. We'll be doing that this afternoon, so you want to stick and stay with us. Before that, we'll be doing the banking sector regulations put out by the regulator itself, the Bank of Ghana, and what the governor says, what his vision is and how he wants the banking sector to be formed out maybe by the end of 2028, according to him. We'll be looking at food security issues here in the country as well. A sneak peek at the Ministry of Agriculture, well, not with the ministry itself, but how we can improve food security here in the country. We'll be looking at that. And then to begin with, we'll start with Gaming Commission. Gaming Commission is supposed to give licenses to people and companies that are supposed to promote all sorts of games here in the country. They claim that there are certain individuals, certain corporate entities, certain outlets that have not been licensed and are operating illegally. And so what are they doing? They have begun a swoop on these institutions. We'll be asking the Gaming Commission what this swoop is about. We keep hearing it every now and then, every year. What is this going to amount to? And then if time permits, we'll ask him what they are actually standing for and what their vision is. So this afternoon promises to be a very exciting one. Just before we get into our discussions for the afternoon, I have the Gaming Commission's man seated here already. But let's take a quick look at the news that's happening around the world of business across the globe. Stay with us.
Ghana's inflation rate fell sharply to 18.4% year-on-year in May 2025, This is down from the 21.2% recorded in April and marks the lowest rate since February 2022. It also extends the country's disinflation trend into its fifth consecutive month as the rate nearly halves from its 2022 peaks. The Ghana Statistical Service attributes the significant decline to reductions in transport fares and a marked slowdown in non-food inflation, signaling a sustained easing in the pace at which consumer prices are rising. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu said at a press briefing in Accra that the recent drop in fuel prices at the pumps, which influenced the nationwide adjustment in transport fares, played a major role in cooling inflationary pressures in May. The government and key oil and gas partners have signed a landmark memorandum of understanding to extend production licenses for the Jubilee and 10 oil fields until 2040. The agreement marks a significant milestone in Ghana's energy sector, paving the way for continued investment and long-term development of the country's petroleum resources. The MOU was signed between the Government of Ghana, Tullow Oil PLC, Cosmos Energy, Petro SA, the Ghana National Petroleum Company, and its subsidiary Exploco. It covers the West Cape 3 Point and Deepwater Tunnel blocks, which include the flagship Jubilee and 10 oil fields. As part of the agreement, the partners have received approval to drill up to 20 additional wells in the Jubilee field, representing a potential $2 billion investment over the life of the extended licenses. This is expected to result in a material increase in gross 2P reserves, enhancing Ghana's long-term energy security and economic prospects. Canadian multinational Rectron Group Inc. has announced its intention to acquire a 60% majority stake in AT Ghana Limited, marking a significant foray into Ghana's telecommunications space. The deal, pending regulatory clearance and due diligence, will be executed in partnership with local telecom player Afritel Ghana Limited. In a statement issued on Wednesday, June 4th, the Vancouver-based conglomerate described the acquisition as part of its broader strategy to diversify globally and build a stronger footprint in emerging markets, particularly in Africa. AT Ghana, formerly Airtel Tigo, currently serves over 2.3 million customers and has operated under full government control since its nationalization in 2021. Rectron is teaming up with Afritel Ghana, led by telecom pioneer Nana Richmond Agri, co-founder of Scancom Ghana, now MTN. The alliance is expected to fuse global capital with local expertise. Absa Bank Ghana has introduced a Prestige Referral Program, a client-driven initiative that invites existing Prestige customers to share the banking experience they trust with others in their network. The campaign recognizes and rewards those who bring others into the Prestige community. The launch event, held on Friday, 30th May 2025, at the Palms by Eagles Hotel in Accra, was aimed at re-echoing the bank's prestige offering and reaffirmation of the bank's commitment to meaningful client engagement. It brought together Absa Prestige clients, strategic partners, and Absa executives in a relaxed setting that encouraged authentic conversations and networking among like-minded achievers. The corporation behind Oreo has filed a lawsuit in the US against the budget supermarket Aldi, accusing it of blatantly copying the packaging of its famous snacks. Court documents show that Mondelez International said Aldi uses similar packaging likely to deceive customers and ride the coattails of the company's attraction, fame, and prestige. The snack giant also is behind Wheat Thins, Nata Bata, Chips Ahoy, and Ritz, all products the company accuses Aldi of copying with its discount versions. Aldi US didn't respond to the media comment, but its British counterpart stressed that it is not involved in the lawsuit. Mondelez, which submitted the lawsuit in May, said It had reached out to Aldi several times about the confusingly similar packaging. Although Aldi did discontinue or alter the packaging of some products, the supermarket
Right, so that's the news making round in the world of business as of today, those in Ghana and across the globe. The exchange rate, the city is also still, do I say appreciating or stabilizing? So as it is per the Bank of Ghana's daily exchange rates as of Thursday, 5th June 2025, that's as of this morning, the US dollar is buying for 10.2249 Ghana cedis and selling for 10.2351 Ghana cedis. The British pound sterling is buying for 13.8690 Ghana cedis and selling for 13.8850 Ghana cedis. The euro pound, or the euro, not the euro pound, the British pound sterling. So this one is a euro. Is buying for 11.6812 Ghana cedis and selling for 11.6926. So that's the average interbank rate used by commercial banks for transactions as at the close of business on Wednesday, 4 June 2025. So if you went to any of the commercial banks, Stanbic, Ghana, CGB, Societe Generale, and so on and so forth, you must have gotten it for this price. And maybe on the black market it would be different. So Thursday, as of this morning, is what we are giving you, the interbank exchange rate. So the city is still strong per the data that we have from the Bank of Ghana. We're praying that it will continue to be so. We are hearing that those people who are dealing in the Chinese yuan are having a bit of a difficulty because the Chinese are moving away from the usage of the dollar. That's those who are trading between Ghana and China. And one of the news that's also just coming up this morning is that Trump, apart from the tariffs, has issued visa restrictions for a number of countries, including our neighboring Togo. And if we get the opportunity later on in the week, or probably in the course of next week, we'll look at all of these. We have been analyzing the impact of the tariff on our economy and how we would institute mitigating factors against the impact of Trump's tariff. And now, what is setting in, Ghana is not part of it, the list that has come out anyway. But we have Liberia, I think we have Sierra Leone, and most importantly, and what concerns us, we have our neighboring Togo on the list. It means that Ghana, we should be bracing up for impact as well. Let me come back to the studio now. And I told you earlier on that my lineup begins from the Gaming Commission, and then I'll do a bit of food security, we'll do the banking sector regulations, and then we'll round up with the fuel tax discussions, where you will get the opportunity to share your views and your thoughts. In the studio here with me this afternoon is my very good friend, and strikingly this afternoon he's not here for politics. He's here representing the Gaming Commission. He's in charge, or the principal officer in charge of investigations, compliance, and enforcement at the Gaming Commission. What's happening is that the Gaming Commission is clamping down on some illegal operators. So Osu Banahini, popularly known, is here with us in the studio. Good afternoon, my brother. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I hope you're
doing well.
You look good.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we are doing well.
Well, you say the economy is going on. We see macro indicators. We see macro performances. And what we are all praying for is for stability.
Yeah.
It's for inflationary stability, it's for stability in the fuel prices, it's for stability in the exchange rate, as I've just put it out there. So what we are looking for is stability.
Yeah. Because the data looks good, as you are mentioning. I mean, President Mahama promised in opposition that he wants to come and reset Ghana. So if you look at the trajectory from January up to this stage, that the exchange rate, the cedi is doing well against all the major currencies, i.e. the dollar, the pounds, and the euro. And now inflation has dropped from 22 to 18.4, which is good. So that means price of goods are coming down. And fuel too is coming down, from I think 16 cedis per liter to now a little above 12. So,
but people are not happy with the new tax you are introducing.
Yeah, they have the right to complain because if we are enjoying milk and all of a sudden you want to give us kuni, everybody will complain. But it's a necessary evil that if you don't take the action and measure to mitigate this energy crisis, I mean, the whole energy sector is going to crash, I tell you, because the energy sector is saddled with debt. And looking at how the IPPs, we fund them, I mean, we owe them so much to the extent that they are threatening to even shut down their machines. Because if they shut down their machines, productivity is going down. You understand? So we need the light. And how do we, maintain the light? We need to fund it. We cannot, give it the light without, funding. There's a component that the fuel that is not added to the pricing of the tariff. Okay, so government is spending, I think, $1.8 billion a year, and if we are to add that, fuel component, the tariff were going to go up by between 40 to 50%, which is on a high side.
I agree with all of that. I've read all of that, and I'll put that statement from the Ministry of Energy there when I'm doing that discussion. But we are doing gaming. Just before we come to gaming, I am asking you this because I know you have done development, and you are development. Both of us are development practitioners. If I'm safe to say that, and do we have to come back to this all the time? In our policy making, in our politics, in the economics of the country, where we come back to debts in the energy sector all the time. At a point, we have to introduce ESLA. Now we have to introduce this. Every time we have to introduce something to kill the debts in our energy sector. What happens to mobilization? What happens to revenue collection? What happens to prudent management in the sector? Why are we not concentrated on development, but always to tax the people? And remember that the Minister of Finance has stated that we don't need to keep on taxing people.
It's all about mismanagement by the previous administration. We pay, bills to electricity company. And they say they have the generational, I think, losses also. Because if you look at the containers issues, ECG imports goods that they don't need. And then they import goods for the next 15 years. And we are paying for that. Over 3,000 containers sitting at the port.
So they should be jailed. Somebody should go
Yes, that's what the energy minister is taking steps.
You speak for government. You are bringing the taxes to us.
Energy minister is taking steps to take some people off. Some people are under investigation.
Steps as of when? It is 5 months, 6 months now.
The former MD, is being investigated by the security agencies.
Do we know? Are we aware of it?
Yes, the Attorney General will speak about it. They've taken some, cautions.
You see, my point is that the Minister for Energy, for example, doesn't have an excuse because he has been at the ministry before, and so it is assumed that he understands what's happening.
He understands because
we are not sitting here waiting for excuses.
The Energy Ministry and Finance had, arrangement for cash waterfall mechanism. They were not paying the IPPs. They were not paying. You understand? They were paying those who were operating, I think, apps for the ECG.
Anyway,
okay?
I mean,
those who were generating the power to give it, they were not paying. That's why we have a huge debt. So this 1 cedi is painful, but let's pay.
People should accept
Mahama
it.
said he's going to be transparent in publishing the audit of this 1 cedi. We are targeting, I think, 5.9 billion a year. Okay, so if we are able,
the very unfortunate thing is that my producer has been trying to forgive me that I'm bringing this to you, but because you speak for government, my producer has been trying to reach out to the Minister of Energy, and we are not going to ask him the same questions that everybody is asking. My concern and our question for him is, when is this going to end? Because you are going to generate 5.9 billion a year per month. You say there is $3.1 billion deficit. So have you done the calculation?
The component, which is 1.8 billion.
Yes, is he telling us it is going to end at a point? But I'm told he's not picking. From yesterday, we've been calling him. He's picking up other stations. We don't know whether he has a problem with Metro TV.
But you should bear with him. He's under.
He has
pressure.
Deputy ministers. He can arrogate powers to them.
A lot of pressure on him.
No, but he has Deputy ministers. This is Metro TV.
Oh yes.
You know this is
Metro TV is very big.
Yeah. So when Minister, if you are watching us, when we call you, please speak up because
come to the studio.
We are glad. We will be glad to receive you. We'll be very glad. But let's come to Gaming Commission.
Yes.
And sorry for putting you on the spot because, but you speak for government. So, but Gaming Commission, you say you are clamping down on illegal operators. First of all, tell us what to do. What's because people, for the purposes of the lay people that are watching, people mix up National Lotteries Authority. People mix up other institutions with Gaming Commission. So, I mean, let me give you that opportunity to explain to us before.
About, forestry, animals.
Forestry, exactly. Yes, when people hear gaming, I mean, we are going on hunting and so on and so forth. So take the opportunity to tell us what you
see. For us at the Gaming Commission, the government set an act of 2006, Act 721, to regulate, monitor, control, and supervise the activities of any games of chance, i.e. casinos, online betting, remote game, and so on and so forth. So we are different and distinct from national lotteries. They regulate lotto operators, but we are any game of chance. So because even if you are playing Spa, that you put money on, we are supposed to regulate your activities.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
That's the Gaming Commission for you.
So the betting companies are under
yes, the online betting.
All the betting
companies. The online betting.
So the sports betting companies.
Sports betting, the casinos.
1xBet and all of those people
are under you. The activities.
Then you are huge.
We license the operation.
Do you regulate them well?
Of course.
Properly?
Of course. That's why we have done the clampdown. Okay, those who are not holding, valid licenses. Our license, when we give it to you every year, is subject to renewal. So if you don't renew and you still operate, that means you hold invalid license. Okay, so the commission will come after you.
Do you check their taxes? Do you check the age limits of the people that are playing these games?
Because
it's online.
To qualify for license,
yes.
The director should be wholly Ghanaians or partly Ghanaians. You register a limited liability company from register of companies. You have to get security clearance. Then you have minimum capital requirement before the license is issued for you within 12 calendar months.
So, for example, the betting tax, when they are in operation, do you regulate the users of their platforms? No, not the betting tax. I mean, forgive me, the betting companies. That's what I'm referring to.
Yes.
Yes, betting taxes. No more. It was taken up by Mr. Fossen, Honorable Ato Fossen. But I'm saying that do you regulate the players on the platforms of the operators?
No, not the players. We regulate the.
So do you not?
No.
Why not?
We don't regulate the players. Okay. In the casino, we call them the Panthers. We don't regulate them. It is only the operators.
So if I'm 9 years old and a casino or a betting company,
so how do you regulate? You don't qualify. What we do is now they have to register with their Ghana card. Those who want to play.
Okay.
So you have to be above 18 years and of sound mind before you can play. So minors are not allowed. And before you are given the license to, we come and check your premises. You shouldn't be close to schools and churches and all that. Okay, that's the inspection bit of the commission. So we have to check everything before we issue with the license. But the one critical thing that you don't have to have a criminal case against the directors if you have been to prison or you have bankruptcy issues with your banks and all that. We will not issue the license. So we do a lot of background checks. That's how it takes time to get the license. But within 12 calendar months, we have to get the license.
But what's happening now? You are clamping down on illegal operators. What's
happening? Yes, because in the previous years, people were benefiting from illegal activities of the Gaming Commission. That funds that were supposed to come to government were going into individuals' pockets. And now, new administration has come. We are all going with the President Mohammed's agenda of resetting. So, Commissioner Emmanuel Sisi-Kwenu and the team.
That's the new commissioner?
Yeah, the new commissioner.
That's his name?
Emmanuel Sisi-Kwenu. And his story is that of President Mahama. Because he's been there before. he was the commissioner from 2013 to 2017.
Okay.
And he's come back 2025. Okay. So okay. He has a hands-on approach to the gaming work.
He understands
he understands it. He understands. If he sleeps and you ask him any question about gaming, he will give it to you. So now, his administration is going for illegal operators because we're giving a target. He sets a target for himself. President appointed him. He said, no, I'm putting you back because of the work you did previously. So this is your target. So to achieve the target, we have to clamp down these illegal operators in order to maximize funds for government.
And so how many operators, this swoop,
we did it on the screen? Yes, on the screen. We did this on Friday in Osu.
Okay.
But see, the whole investigation came out. A Panther, okay, won a game at a Galaxy Casino.
Okay.
And they were finding it difficult to pay him. They say he has connived with some of the workers to win. So they won't pay him.
Oh, okay. So a player who came in to play, you call them
a regular customer at the place.
Okay. He won.
He won.
A huge amount.
Yes, huge amount. I don't know the amount. And they refused to pay him. So the company sacked 2 of their workers. And you know when people are aggrieved, they tend to leak
information.
So they came, and we have to swoop on them on Friday. So Friday, we went to do the investigation, and we found out that even Galaxy doesn't have
the license
to operate at the premises. The premises is for Phoenix Casino.
Okay.
And he has given his license to Galaxy to operate. So the commission doesn't know Galaxy.
But the commission
knows against the Commissions Act and laws that you don't transfer your licenses. Okay, if you transfer your licenses, you are liable to a fine of, I think, 500 penalty units or a prison term not less than 2 years or both. Okay, so what they are doing is illegal. So we went to close their place, and because you see the impunity. Friday we closed their place. Sunday they reopen. Cut the commission chains and padlocks, and they reopen to operate. They say they have.
After you had gone there.
After we gone there to
on Friday.
On Friday. Sunday they opened and started operating again.
That's some raising confidence.
Of course. So the compliance team went again and closed it, and we invited them to the commission on Monday to come and sit down with us. So now we've given them some penalties to pay.
But you should have prosecuted them immediately.
Of course, that is on the table. That is on the table.
Because this is flouting the regulation, which is the laws of Ghana.
Yeah. For now, Commissioner Sisi is not in Ghana. He's far away in Kenya attending to government business. So he'll be back tomorrow. Monday he'll be in the office, and we are going to meet the operators again. So whatever comes out.
All of the operators or the operators of this particular?
The people operating illegally. So whatever happens, we will let the media know.
But what's the strategy for the other ones? It means that there are a lot of...
See, now we are calling on the illegal operators to come. The commission has opened its doors. Come and let's regularize your operations.
So you are giving them the space first of all.
The space first to come. If you don't come and we come to see, I mean, that means you flood the law and the necessary sanctions will be applied to you. So commissioner is saying all the illegal operators come. Now
at least we are giving you the room.
We are going to the regions. Okay. At first we used to be only in Kumasi and Tamale. Now we are going.
But there are casinos all over.
Of course, we are going to.
Why are you understaffed?
Western North. Now we open a branch in Swedro, which is central region. We have Kaso already. So we are moving to other regions. Okay. Very soon we will go.
Are you understaffed?
No, we are not understaffed.
So how come you are not in every part of the country?
You have to know where they operate these games. For the betting, they do it online. Okay, so everybody sitting in even Bole can play online. But the casino, they need to get the premises. Okay, so if you go to the regions, you don't have the casinos. That means you are going to, run operations without, getting anything. Okay, so we need to, we have surveyed the regions they operate the casinos. That is where we are focusing on.
So, I mean, what's the new direction, new administration? Sisi has come back. Any new strategy? I mean, I'm rounding you up on this one.
Yes.
And then we'll make time properly to sit down and go into the details of all your
Commissioner has come with a new vision and a new sense of energy. we the staff, we are all, helping him to achieve the reset agenda that the president has given him. So, as I said, our doors are open.
Okay.
So all illegal operators must come to the commission for us to regularize the operations, get the licenses and operate. When you get the license, it's a win-win situation. You do your business and then commission to get their revenue for government. So that's what we are calling for. But if you don't come, we will come after you. Because we know
are you willing to prosecute? Are you
of
willing
course.
And are you willing to close down? Because now
we are going to close down all illegal operations. Okay? I told you one way the days people were taking money into their pocket and allowing them to operate illegally. But now, no more.
Because if a company is operating illegally and then somebody wins, they may keep the money, take it.
Of course, people were making huge sums of money from this illegal operation. And in Ghana. Okay, so now there's a new direction. Okay, so very soon we will invite the media to see our activities. How commissioner is operating the gaming commission. A new era has come. So all we are asking for is those who are operating illegally should come to the commission for us to regularize their operations for them. That's all.
Right. So I'm going to leave it at this. And then we'll make time and the opportunity to meet you and then your commissioner. And then when you are going around as well, we may give you a camera person or a reporter
it's very
to follow
important.
And be able to see whether you are closing them down, whether you are following up. Otherwise, but thank you very much.
My brother.
Forgive me for putting you on the spot. And Ous Banahine is the principal officer in charge of inspection, investigation, compliance, and enforcement. And he's not here, or he hasn't been here for politics today. Whenever you see him in the media space, he's there talking politics. But today, he's talking about Gaming Commission and how they are intending to clamp down on illegal operators. And we'll still take you around some of the news making round in the world of business. We'll give you some early on. We'll take you around. When I come back, I get into the discussion on agribusiness. Food safety, food security. But of course, it is also in the space of agribusiness. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Ghana's inflation rate fell sharply to 18.4% year-on-year in May 2025. This is down from the 21.2% recorded in April and marks the lowest rate since February 2022. It also extends the country's disinflation trend into its fifth consecutive month as the rate nearly halves from its 2022 peaks. The Ghana Statistical Service attributes the significant decline to reductions in transport fares and a marked slowdown in non-food inflation, signaling a sustained easing in the pace at which
because mu buy no enche bia format mu mu say ye 11 ye bet tax enye but they said mu ma bet one tax of 11 and friends oba say 1 cedi petrol 11 akotuaka
for me there kwa mi so na we there as adada bi na mo dada 11 there baby ane wo no mo fa ngosi wa no mo nja petrol na mo de ba wo no ende kwasi ko wasa jan kwantia wa
obi tam $58 million ko to am na National Cathedral no obi ji 1 cedi na the man light ejina so a ja omo amembo nde le obenya ne omo mbega se ye eno omo mbega se ye.
No one is complaining apart from the MPP people. Nobody. And looking at things, there is 1 cedi so. Then let's go back to Akufo-Addo regime. It's more than 1 cedi, but so that's where we were complaining. This one is 1 cedi, and 1 cedi is for our own good, and is the same development for the country. If only we want to be like, for example, some people always compare Ghana, like they want to compare Ghana to the US and then the Americans. Yes, they don't develop by what? Just by chance.
Yes,
ABC where that say it me at this so near to the first so yet this is so a lot of a baby I can say to Swan and so yet to Yatiso and this ano say on my shed on Mode Bano. Your person man and Conisana at the time for no more crew no young form type for mom near TC room now most of Monte on Yamasonia saying
once in the too. I
just can't just Obiadio.
So I just said, what about to swap? You're ready to associate Tiano.
The problem is, I bet Spelly said, yes, I bind, at least I bind on bar power, the on my other part. Because mobile and cheap beer format movie. Momo say, ye 11 yet. Bed tax and yet. But instead of moves, one tax of 11, and a friend said, about saying 1 cedi petrol 11 Tuaka.
So, media, Quamisona, where they answer at that be now more dada. 11 dear, baby, I never want to see why no munja petrol now more day bound. And the Quasico was a jam 20 hour.
Obitam $58 million could to am now National Cathedral. No BG 1 city. Now they are man light edge now so Yaomo. I remember when they are being your mom beggar say yeah, and no mom beggar saying yeah.
No one is complaining apart from the MPP people. Nobody. And looking at things, there is 1 city so. Then let's go back to Akufo-Addo regime. It's more than 1 cities, but so that's where we were complaining. This one is 1 cities, and 1 cities is for our own good. And is the same development for the country. If only we want to be like, for example, some people always compare Ghana, like they want to compare Ghana to the US and then the Americans. Yes, they don't develop by what? Just by chance.
Yes, ABC where that say it me at this so near to the first so yet this is so a lot of a baby I can say to Swan and so yet to Yatiso and this ano say on my shed on Mode Bano. Your person man and Conisana at the time for no more crew no young form type for mom near TC room now most of Monte on Yamasonia saying I.
Welcome back from that. I told you I'll be discussing that later on. We'll be getting, Kupek will be getting some other energy experts to be speaking to. We are in the deregulation policy, and we have asked that this is depoliticized. Too many politics or too much politics in the space of the fuel pricing and so on and so forth. But how do we go around this? And we'll ask you, are you ready to pay? We are hoping that when you are texting us, you will not politicize your comment. If it does, we'll still read it anyway. But for now, coming Saturday is a World Food Safety Day. I had misconstrued it for World Food Security Day. And I'm asking the experts who are already in the studio, how is that linked? The food security, food safety, and we have these experts. First of all is Dr. Nathan Grant Biney, head of the Veterinary Regulatory Unit at the Kotoka International Airport, and Michaela Ama Wickham is a skilled veterinary technologist. Doc Nathan is seated to my right. Doc, thank you very much for joining us.
So much for having us.
And I hope you're doing well.
I am.
And then I'm doing well as well. Okay. Thank you. Let me welcome Michaela, rather, right? Michaela. Michaela. So I like the Wickham.
Yeah.
That works for you.
I love it too, yeah.
You love it too. But let me start with you, Nathan. In fact, I just mentioned it, that I had misconstrued safety and security. Are they linked in any way? And if we are to ensure food security here in Ghana, maybe we have to ensure safety first. So how is that linked?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, and a warm good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers as well. Thank you again. So, we are here for food safety. But just like you're saying, security is key. Security, you are looking at the perpetuity of having food in abundance and supply for the people.
Kindly pull your mic, so that. So okay, thank you very much.
That's fine now. All right. So in security, you are looking at perpetuity of supply. You are looking at abundance of food, right? And on the safety side, you are looking at all the practices, procedures you are going to put in place to ensure that the food is right and safe for the people to prevent foodborne illnesses. So in the event that the food that you are producing over a period does not meet the safety requirements, you are going to have food being recalled. You are going to have you're going to have economic impact on food, because food is going to get destroyed and other things. So with that, you are realizing that the supply that you are going to have in the system is going to go down.
So for example, if I'm doing a 10-acre farm, maize farm,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make sure that I harvest it, I plant it, go through the process and harvest, and put it in a warehouse, and maybe supply it to secondary schools or add it to the national buffer stock or food stock we have in the country. You are to make sure, or food safety's role is to make sure that that one is safe. What I'm producing is safe.
No, so food safety is a whole chain. So we are saying that food safety is a chain that begins from the farm to fork.
Okay.
So that in food safety, you are looking at production. How did the production go through?
Yes.
You are looking at logistics, transportation. You are looking at storage. You are looking at retailing, wholesale.
So you are in every part of the value chain of food production.
Exactly the point. And so, just like we say, food safety is everyone's business because there are stakeholders involved in food safety. So every stakeholder and the roles that they play. And we are here from the veterinary services to throw more light on the functions that the veterinary services department, plays, especially when it comes to animal products and then animal food stuffs. That's why we're here.
And I'm happy that from where you are coming from, because of the government's new agenda of getting into animal production and so on and so forth. People love that they're and we always use it to laugh. But when the president launched the Feed Ghana campaign, there was a conscious plan, conscious strategy of developing these chicken and developing animal production and so on and so forth. But do you have any conscious plan, activity that you do, or in government's plan, as government is planning to get into animal growth and all of that? From you, the vets, is there any plan that you are also taking to match up the safety of the produce that we would have?
Veterinary, we play a critical and crucial role right from production even to disposal. So at the production level, which is the farm level, we do surveillance, we do treatments. And in treatments, we are also ensuring that farmers are using antimicrobials prudently under veterinarian supervision, because there's also a sector of veterinary that has to do with antimicrobial resistance. And this happens if animals are under medication and the withdrawal period is not observed and the animal is slaughtered and it gets onto your table, you're consuming minute quantities of the medication as well, and it can lead to antimicrobial resistance. So we play a critical role in that. We also do regulatory. So your imports of animal and animal food products into the country and out of the country, we also do some regulation facility.
So from the starting point, let's begin from the starting point. Maybe we are always talking about those of us who are always on the neck of the agric ministry to take or to make a conscious effort in being part of, whether it's subsistence farming or whether it's commercial farming, being part of whatever it is from the beginning. Their funding, their supply of, if it's farming, seedlings and so on and so forth, and even the poultry, we are talking about supply of the old chicks and so on and so forth. Are you involved in that part?
Absolutely. We are part
even
of the
for
very
those
beginning.
who are doing it to feed their homes or households.
So it would interest you to know that we have a say even in the siting of your farm.
But do you do that?
Yes, we do. So currently we are trying to get every farm, every sort of facility on board by registering and licensing them.
I was coming to data. I was coming to the issues. Please go on.
That way it's easier to map out and even do surveillance. And surveillance gives us data from across the country so that we know it informs epidemiological data so that we know what's happening in these different sectors of the country and how we can eventually facilitate when something is up. If there's an outbreak, we know that movement of animals from this area is not supposed to go to this area because in this particular area there's a disease and we have to control and then we have to contain it. So yeah, we play a critical role, and not just in terrestrial animals, but even in aquatic animals as well.
But do we not have some of these farmers, even apart from the animal farming, the crop farming, who do things on their own without recourse to you? We end up having fall armyworms and so on and so forth. So, but you are there.
Obviously, that is going to happen. I mean, you should expect something like that in a system like that, all right? But there are measures also that we are putting in place. Just like Michaela mentioned, there's the ongoing registration that we are talking about, trying to sanitize the system. You know, obviously, you're going to have somebody trying to usurp the system and do their own kind of thing. But the systems have been laid down, and we are going step by step to ensure that, you know, we are ensuring that everybody's complying. And that's why we are also here, because awareness creation is important and education is key. Somebody may genuinely not know these things, and that's why we are here to let them know that veterinary services is saying that even when you are producing at the farm level, you are important to the food chain, right? So whatever you are doing there is going to have an effect on the next level. So with that, veterinary service is the right authority that the state has put in place to aid you. We render extension services, treatments, right? We do farmer-based education at the district levels. So all
that's
these
the Ghana Vet Service?
Yeah, Ghana Veterinary Services.
Okay.
All right. At every district, there's a veterinary unit as part of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Okay. Okay.
So they are there at the base.
So it means in the 200 and over 60 districts we have in the country, you are represented everywhere.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so people should come to you.
Exactly.
But do people understand the involvement of science in the evolution of all of this? And let me ask you, how do we get it around? How do you do that to, for example, we heard about GMO and so on and so forth. And I have been to certain number of farms where we talk about maximizing your yield per acre. I'm sorry that I still send you to crop farming. And
Don't worry, it's very related.
But, so maximizing your yield per acre. So when you bring it to the animal farming as well, maximizing your yield per what you would have gotten if you were not involving science, if you were not involving technology and so on and so forth. How do you do it? How does that come up? How do we grow?
Okay, so...
And then I'll put the same question to you as well.
Let me take it from two ends. So at the farm level, right, certain practices in animal farming has changed because of technology, because of science, right? For example, you could have certain breeds of cattle, let me use that, and they would not grow in this area. But now there's artificial insemination.
Okay.
So based on that, you are inseminating to get a hybrid of a sort here, which will grow better, which will give us a better meat yield, which will give you a better milk yield. All right, so science at the base level has improved. Instead of doing certain things, you could go through certain procedures for treatments have even evolved over time. All right, now it's easy for us to do monitoring. Policy formulation even is based on the science, because without the science, then there's no trajectory for which the policy is going to be implemented. So science has framed the whole thing, and that's the basis on which now we are, running food safety. So we are saying that this year, that's the focus of the celebration, that it's science in action. That if you are talking about practices, measures we are putting in place to ensure that your food is free of contaminants, know that there's science behind it, and science has helped us evolve. You're talking about diagnostic tests that have come up now, for which we can test our food. Food from the ports and both land, sea, they come through the National Food Safety Laboratory at the Veterinary Services.
And you test all of them before they get onto the market.
Before they are given clearance to be brought onto the market. All right, so that's what I'm saying. And this is what science has done. Some can be done in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
So the advancement of science has brought us in this.
We do a lot of importation of chicken.
Yes,
we do a lot of importation of fish, and we do a lot of importation of these, even goats and so on and so forth. You check all of them?
Exactly. Yes. And that's why we are saying safety is key. And that's why the veterinary services is at the border points. So we are the airports, like myself, I am there.
But Wickham,
seaports and others.
I'm happy you are there, but let me ask and I'll come back to you. Unfortunately, my time is running up. But in all of this that we are doing, for me, sitting here, we spoke about rice production, increasing rice production, and cutting down on importation of rice, because we do about $500 million worth of rice importation. We can say same for chicken. We can say same for fish. We can say same for even onion, $600 million, onion.
Yeah.
And you are there. So in ensuring the safety of it, you would end up ensuring that we have security, which you started explaining. If you are able to apply science to all of these, maybe cattle, maybe goats, and we have national cattle farm, or maybe somebody is rearing cattle in about 5,000 or 50,000 acres, we'll cut down on the importation of all of these. We'll cut down on the importation of chicken. Are you not ready to do that?
Oh, yeah. We currently have a program ongoing called the Farmer Field School Initiative. And we started from regions where we know production of certain particular breeds of animals is high. For example, in the Doma region, we know that they are high on poultry production. And in Ghana, the cheapest protein you get is chicken or egg.
Yeah.
So we started focusing on farmers from those regions, teaching them best practices, biosecurity, biosafety, and we are trying to maximize their profits. We're also trying to let them go on to using probiotics instead of antibiotics. And they also share with border countries, which is the Ivorian border. And we are trying to map out these land borders, the porous borders, because when we are not certain of what's coming in and going out, we could be importing diseases. And that goes against international trade laws. And that also comes against our economical increase in yield. And we're also playing a critical role in making sure that we are involving the private sector as well. So it's not just the government, but we also involve in private sector participation. We have a very good collaboration with the Chamber of Agribusiness. And even today we had a webinar on slaughter facilities and meat production. And the Chamber of Agribusiness had a lot to say. So they give us suggestions. We also speak to the farmers, and we use data, scientific data and evidence to fuse these things together. We collaborate, and yeah, collaboration is key, because environmental sector, human health sector, and animal health sector, we all need to work together to ensure that we are keeping our food safe, because our animals reside in the environment, so we need their help. And we humans also depend on these animals for food, so we need the humans to also come on board.
So I'll engage Anthony Morrison. As we claim, you've been engaging him and the chamber. I'll engage him, and I'm sure that we'll come back together. I mean, they are in the farming, they are doing the practice, you are doing the science. How do you merge? We'll come back together around the table. But World Food Safety Day, that's my final question to you. You said, when is it happening, and what's happening on the day?
So World Food Safety Day is on 7th of June.
7th of June.
But we are having a month-long celebration. We are going to have varied events. We just had a webinar today.
Okay.
So the webinar was focused more on meat slaughterhouses and the challenges that are being held. We are going to have interrogations and sensitizations at live bird markets. We are going to go to the international livestock market, Tulaku. We will be there. There will be some sensitizations in schools.
Not just the large slaughterhouses, but the Luka, Mayanka, and all of those.
Oh, we'll be there.
We do that.
We want to see you.
Yeah,
there.
we'll do
Absolutely.
And the markets.
And we also want to see you as well.
I can follow you. The adjoining, where they sell the adjoining, and you go and you see all the flies. I go into the market, and we want to see you there.
So it's a month-long celebration, and thank you for the opportunity.
We're happy, but we'll need to bring you back.
Exactly.
We'll need to bring you back. Your final words to the public on safety. I mean, you're doing a campaign. So I have 1 minute. So 30 seconds for you, 30 seconds for you. Then.
Okay, so your food should be safe. And food safety is everyone's business. You have a role to play, and all stakeholders do have a role to play. Keep your food safe. At home, make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're storing your food rightly. Cook your food well. And then make sure that you are preventing any contaminants in your environment. Keep a good hygiene, and let's keep our food safe to keep us healthy. Thank you.
Michaela.
For any information on anything veterinary and animal food products, you can reach us via our website. However, for the upcoming Eid, we want to tell each and every one of you out there that if you need to slaughter, make sure your meat is passed and certified by a veterinary meat inspector before it goes out onto the market. Happy Eid to my Muslim brothers and sisters.
I am happy about this conversation, and definitely we'll come back to it, because when you go to the market, I was going to mention some markets. You see some rotten tomatoes that are still being sold by the market women, and some people coming in to buy. And we have these suspects around who are making sure and doing campaigns and making sure that all of us are safe. We don't end up getting all the kinds of diseases that come with contaminated food, chicken and everything. So thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. We'll come back to you, I mean, maybe in the course of the month, before your campaign ends. We'll meet you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you
so
for
that's
having
the
us.
discussion on food safety. If you're still watching, this is still Business Edge. Don't run away. I told you that I'm going to bring you a discussion also on the banking or Bank of Ghana regulation. So Dr. Johnson Esiama says he has a hope, he has a vision. He wants to make sure that the fiscal environment of the economy is stable before he exits the Bank of Ghana. So, especially for the commercial banking, he's issued some regulations to guide them. We saw the financial sector cleanup 2018 thereabout, which has caused a lot of eruptions in the financial space. And so we are going to look and assess all of these measures that he's put in place. How is it going to curb the macroeconomic indicators and then ripple effect in the or on the micro sector? So I'm going to see the bite. Let's watch the bite. When we come back, I'll talk to some financial experts and we'll analyze how impactful this will be on the commercial banking sector of the finance of the economy. Stay with us.
Now, a few regulatory announcements. The first one has to do with the CRR directive that we amended as contained in our MPC statement. We're actually looking at about 5 key regulatory measures. And let me take you through each of them. So the first is about the CRR directive, which seeks to align liquidity and funding structures. So this directive was announced in my MPC statement, and this came after careful internal deliberation and consultations with some of you. We heard your concerns about the dynamic CRR regime, and we worked to design a solution that is effective but would not inject too much liquidity into the system. Accordingly, with effect from the 5th of June 2025, and that is later this week, all banks must now do 2 things. First one, maintain domestic currency reserves for CD deposits. Secondly, maintain foreign currency reserves for FX deposits. This approach helps better align our liquidity management, your liquidity management with funding structures, and enhances discipline in the foreign exchange market. We trust that the transition will proceed smoothly, and we welcome any operational feedback as implementation begins later this week. Of course, I'm sure you have some questions, and we are happy to provide clarifications during the discussions today. So the second one is on consumer protection and pricing fairness. We've noticed a few issues in that area as well. We've noted a growing trend in the application of optional issuer fees, or what is called OIFs, when it comes to cross-currency card transactions. In principle, we recognize that these fees may reflect real cost. However, opaque pricing and limited disclosure have already begun to erode consumer trust and the integrity of payment systems.
So the governor of the Bank of Ghana there speaking, and we have Professor Isaac Bodi, Faculty of Accounting and Finance, UPSA, live on Zoom joining us, and I'm sure we'll have Daniel Osabute, who is also a lecturer with the Finance and Business Department of Accra Technical University. But Prof, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, and you've listened to the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Is this going to ensure the stability as a project?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers as well. Just a few days ago, we had the BOG, the governor, giving us the new banking regulations. And we are here discussing about its impacts in our economy. But first of all, let me commend governor. He's trying to engage the public in some of the decisions that he takes. And it must be commended for that.
Okay.
2 things. The disclosure of MPC members' decisions to the general public, that is the first initiative that I can say. Anytime after the MPC, he comes out and then in the media, he tells the position of members. I don't know whether it used to, those days we were having this. I'm not too sure, but it's a good practice. Then it's also after the MPC, he engages This is a new initiative that is trying to engage the CEOs of all the banks to let them know the effect of those MPC directives, which is good. But I think the other side of it is that we must enhance education, especially the terms that are used, and sometimes the word, the banking terminologies. It might not be everyone who really will understand the CC, all those key words that are there. This is just my preliminary contribution to the initiatives. Now let's get to the substantive issue here.
Right.
In fact, if you take the entire document, you take time to go through, the governor gives an idea about why they maintain the 28% MPC rate. Now, after that, he quickly goes ahead and tells the CEOs why we need to have about five initiatives in the banking sector, starting from, I think, this week or so. If you take the first one, and then you go through the five, in terms of number, they are about 10 or so.
Yes,
If you take your time and go through the document, the initiative will sum up to about 10 or so. But let's look at the first one, the first position, that 28%. He maintained 28%. He had to give reasons why he maintained the 28%. In fact, from our end, our policy, our think tank group, the Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy.
Yes.
We
and forgive me. Forgive me. In fact, in your introduction, I should have put that across also, that you are the executive director for the Institute of Economic and Research Policy. Forgive me on that, Prof. Please go on. You can go on.
That's
now.
Okay.
Yes,
we targeted 25%. We targeted a reduction of the MPC rates to about 25%. That was our target. But when the figure came out, it was 28%. They had maintained the same. We gave reasons in some of our publications that at that point, a 24% appreciation of our currency suggests a forex stability.
Okay.
And then about 21.2% inflation. Also, we think that inflation is taking a nosedive faster than projected in the first quarter of the first quarter. Public debt also had reduced to about 61.8% or so as at 2024, December. The current account surplus has also, I think, gone up to about 22.1 billion, giving us a figure of export surplus. So per these indicators, we presume that the figure would have gone down to about 25%, which would have reduced how much the business community borrow from the banks, at least to stimulate growth for the private sector. By the way, that's another discussion.
Right.
But if you take the policy by one, let us not forget that the previous administration also took several initiatives in the banking sector. Some had positive impact, others had negative impact. So we are careful when we come out with such policy. Remember the minimum capital requirement that was increased in 2018.
Yes, to the 400 million.
Then also the cleanup of insolvent banks between 2017 to 2029. Around that period, you saw what happened. And then there was something on loan interest rate capping.
Exactly.
In 2028.
The non-performing loans. In fact, Prof, forgive me for cutting it. The non-performing loans, it's one of the things that we don't critically look at regularly. But he says that he's going to cap it to 10%. And I'm happy that you are raising that. Before his projection, or even currently, it looks like there is too much non-performing loans on the side of the commercial banks. What accounts for this, and why is that? Why do we have this problem?
Yeah, I'll come to that, but I just to be quick and just give you an idea what it's all about.
Please go on.
In fact, again.
Please go on.
Yeah, I'll come to that issue, but just to be quick and respond to that. In fact, if you look at the MPL, we expect that all the time, in terms of all the banking sector indicators, for you to check whether a bank is sound or not, we use four indicators. And it's one of the things that we focus on sometimes. ability of people paying back the loan, the default. It's in fact, all the bank indicators I've seen so far, they all head towards a positive direction, except the NPL. It means that either the bank, those who provide credit to businesses, they don't monitor, they don't check before funds are given, is another issue. All those who come for the funds would use the fund for intended purposes is another problem. And sometimes when the economy is a bit fragile, difficult, people who borrow money find it difficult sometimes to pay. Sometimes might not be their own fault, but sometimes the system will permit that. So we'll come to that. But I was giving you a background about what previous administration implemented, about 4 or 5 initiatives. And viewers will be the best judge what happened to those policies. But let's look at what the new governor wants to do now. In fact, the new regulatory framework touches on critical aspects of the banking operations. Critical aspect. The 10 or so initiative, they do touch on critical banking operations, from reserves requirements to digital lending and to crypto oversight. So these are the areas that this new initiative will border on. You know, one many measures, many measures will show promise. In fact, our institute will caution that the governor must tread cautiously over a period of time. Let's speak one by one.
Yes.
The new initiative. The first one you mentioned happens to be the domestic foreign currency back reserves, starting from June 5th or so. I mean, and I think today or so.
Prof, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, Prof? I think Prof is gone. But whilst we get it, we try to reconnect him. Daniel Osabute is also online. He's a lecturer of finance and business department at Accra Technical University. Danny, if you can hear me, I mean, let me ask you generally, and of course, for the purposes of time, the regulations entirely, how you think it will help stabilize the economy and whether it's positive or not.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. And let me say good afternoon to my colleague on the other line.
Right.
Yes. So looking at the reforms, I think it's a bold move to improve the banking space. I have heard from the Ghana Association of Banks, who have also welcomed the new reforms. They believe that it's going to promote the health of the banking industry as well as the economy. They are looking at the reforms bringing in discipline, transparency, and then is going to create that kind of resilience in the country's financial sector. So let's look at 5 major reforms. I want to tackle the 5. The first one has to do with the tighter rules on non-performing loans. If you look at the reasons why Bank of Ghana in 2018 to 2019 embarked on the banking cleanup, one of them has to do with high non-performing loans, which affected the liquidity positions of most of the banks. It eroded most of their capitals. But as we speak, we are in the region of 24%, which is not too good. So coming out with a threshold of 10% is good because, one, it is going to protect the capital of banks. It is going to ensure that depositors' funds are secured, okay, because you cannot ensure the sustainability of the banking industry if we are having 24% of loans that have been given out going bad. So the 10% is good. What we need to look at is the enforcement. it is not just enough to come up with such regulations if we don't put in place measures to enforce them. So I rather call on Bank of Ghana to strengthen their monetary team and make sure that they control the activities of these banks. We want to see real transformation that will come out of these reforms. Now, let me look at the second one. We have a planned digital lending platform. You know, these days we have mushrooms of this digital lending happening. We have a lot, and they are not regulated. So to come out with a planned digital lending platform to regulate the activities of these digital lending companies is good. I've had several experiences with them. Sometimes you'll be there and then you have a call that somebody has used your name to take a loan. You've been used as a guarantor to take a loan. So what they do is that once you apply for the loan, they have access to all your contacts.
Exactly.
So they'll just be calling people at random.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the person has not even assigned for any, he hasn't been a guarantor, but they will keep on harassing such people. So it will really help sanitize this digital lending platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend the governor and the team for this initiative.
Right.
Now let's look at corporate governance.
Okay.
It's also another key area.
Okay.
Why should we have our local boards who have to take key decisions in Ghana, yet we have most of these foreign countries being controlled by their boards? We have foreign banks here, but their boards outside are controlling the activities of the boards here, which is not too good.
Okay.
So to make sure that the boards within this country, irrespective of who owns the bank, is being controlled by the domestic people, I mean the local decision making, is key. So a board should not be put in place in Ghana for foreigners to be controlling such boards. So it's a good initiative. Now, keeping reserves in local and foreign currency to also align the liquidity management is also going to help at least regulate this forex trading and all that. So these are key reforms that we need to really enforce.
Okay.
The enforcement is what I'm interested in.
Okay.
And then the last one is the consumer protection. You know, we have banks charging unauthorized fees and all that. So if there are reforms to protect the average consumer, I think it's in line.
Okay, so Danny, let me quickly, I think I have Prof also back on the line. For the purposes of time, unfortunately our time is virtually up, but let me quickly pick from Prof what he had built the premise. So Prof, if you can hear me, I don't know if you can, you had built the premise of
I can hear you.
Yes. So I would want you to, because of time, give us a summary of whether it is positive, whether it is forward-looking, these policies that have been put forward by the governor of the Bank of Ghana. He had built the premise of some of these policies that had been implemented before and how they have impacted the economy. But moving forward, how does this help us as an economy?
Yeah, I'm sure. Coming back, I lost you a while ago.
Yes,
but
yes.
On the issue of the PL ratio cap of at 10%, in fact, my earlier contributor said it's around about 14.5% or so.
Yes.
But we warn that enforcing a sudden cap could force banks into aggressive write-off. We shouldn't forget this. Reducing credit availability. That's another phase of it. So a phased approach with performance-backed incentive
Prof, can you hear me? We seem to be having a bit of a challenge with Prof's line still, and that's a discussion on the banking sector regulations and plans, policies, projects of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama. So Professor Isaac Boadi was speaking on that. if we are not able to get him, no problem. We'll quickly run to the fuel tax that we had spoken about. And I was looking forward to getting them speak also on the fuel tax. We would have one energy expert join the panel as we are speaking to also comment on the fuel tax and whether it's a good tax to pay or not. But then if you're online, if you are still hearing me, kindly quickly comment on the fuel tax before I let you go. Our lines are failing us today, but Daniel Usabute is a lecturer at the Accra Technical University. Professor Isaac Bodi is the Dean, Faculty of Accounting and Finance, UPSA Executive Director, Institute of Economic and Research Policy, that's IERPP. They were talking to me about the new banking sector regulations put out by the governor of the Bank of Ghana. What is happening currently in the energy sector is that the Ministry of Energy has put forward 1 Ghana cedi tax per liter. So for every 12 cedis of liters that you buy, that's 1 liter that you buy, you're going to pay 1 Ghana cedi. Hutchins from IEX, my very good brother anyway, but it's been a long time. I hope you're doing well. Good afternoon to you. And if you are hearing me, because of time, forgive us for holding you on the line for quite some time. But is this a good tax to pay? I mean, you are in the energy sector.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. So basically, this is a tax that is supposed to solve a problem. Now you have to ask yourself, does the problem exist? Now, if the problem exists, then what is the way forward? And so one of the ways the government has, or an option the government has, is whether the government will absorb that debt. That is, we are talking about the legacy debts and then the way forward. One is whether the government will absorb the debts and then to become part of our national debt. It means that we are still going to repay because you have to borrow, and then in paying back, you have to pay back through taxes. That is one way. Or the government will add it to the utility tariffs. So that is like the ECG. Because when you look at the fuel that are used to power the thermal plants for us to get power, these are increasing costs to the states. And so what can the government do? Would they add it to the utility tariffs? When they do that, it means that we are going to get increments more than 50%. Is this something that will be good for businesses to survive with as it stands right now? Or the government will look for an option that is adding it to the price builder for fuel. Now, in choosing the last option, which is adding it up to the price builder for fuel, the government is of the view that, one, what are the macroeconomic indicators? As it stands now, fuel, or let me say fuel on the international market is selling close to about $60 per barrel. Now, the exchange rate, which is also another factor that determines fuel prices, has also been on the appreciable level. So cedi is gradually appreciating. And so if you look at the macroeconomic indicators and looking at the circumstance we find ourselves, you realize that, one, even though it's a tax that nobody wants to pay taxes, this one more or less becomes a necessity tax. And so it's like a bitter pill that you need to swallow now so that you avert yourself from any form of a deeper crisis. Because whether we take it or not, the debt is there. Now, what do you do about the debt? So find a way to be able to absorb the debt and put in some mechanisms, some robust mechanisms that going forward, those repeated mistakes that have accumulated to those debts will not happen again. And so what efficiency measures are you putting in place to maybe revive ECG? What are you doing to be able to reduce the distribution and transmission losses? What are you doing to be able to improve the revenue mobilization on the part of ECG? Because this whole mechanism or this whole issue has come about because of the mismanagement of the Excella that we were collecting at first, and then we have to collateralize it. And then currently, the mismanagement on the part of ECG. And so definitely put in the measures, and then this becomes a necessity tax that we need to swallow it now before the hard times come.
But I'm happy about the fact that you mentioned mismanagement, because my next question to you was going to be whether you call it a necessity tax anyway, and that, I mean, for you who is an expert in the field, you think that it is important that we should swallow the bitter pill. But how?
Ama. Nansi mi general well-being enkoye kwao. Ama maye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kra. Ama me kunu ne me ntukwankwa. Oh, you right. Enye mo go. Give us JC lecture ene ne capsules aye num bom enho asem na mo kana ebua emma ene meme nyina ne ma wo ba ye obesima na be ma so aye be mesima ya we be bua wo kunu ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum na wanyinya ne nti sese ne oyi chokomo na GC mixture and capsule.
A painful battle, one more menu for one and Quada when you feel to me.
MNC Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy with individually registered companies. Our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.